ESPN has pretty much become a laughingstock for the sports world and media. I mean, they have the most outlandish takes. That's why they're losing viewers and nobody wants to watch them anymore. That's why they come to third-party media and watch YouTubers. And this is exactly why people are leaving ESPN. People are not watching ESPN anymore. And this has a lot to do with the Giants. Obviously, the topic is the Giants, so it's just perfect that we get to talk about this. But we're going to get into this. Max Kellerman, the so-called Giants fan, Max Kellerman, had this outlandish idea for the Giants to move up, that he wants the Giants to move up in the draft to go get a quarterback and keep Daniel Jones. Nobody even knew that until his take just by trading up for a quarterback was already outlandish. But you'll see as things go on in this video, the Stephen A. and Dan Orlovsky, I usually despise all of their takes, but they knock some sense into Max. But I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink it. I mean, Max Kellerman is just too hard-headed in his own thoughts to really listen to anybody else. I guess that's the New York pride in him. But let's just watch this. Let's just watch this as Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky rip apart Max Kellerman.
The only surefire bet is Trevor Lawrence. And after that, there is no surefire bet. So why would you trade Daniel Jones to create more questions for yourself at the quarterback position when nobody knows what those other guys are going to do, okay? That's number one. Number two, there were questions about the offensive line. You brought that up in the past. Number three, you've been raving about the pickup of Galladay. Well, if you got him, right, what does that mean? That means you wasn't satisfied with what you had in Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram or Darius Slayton, whomever the case may be. Plus, you didn't have Saquon Barkley, but now you're getting him back. And last year was Joe Judge's first year, which we all, especially myself, have recognized. This guy was incredibly impressive. Why would you move Daniel Jones when there's so many questions at the quarterback position? Okay,
Dan, what do you think?
About who to draft. Why would you do that? Makes no sense.
So you guys hear the end of that conversation there. Stephen A. Smith is pretty much breaking down why it makes no sense to move on from Daniel Jones and move Daniel Jones, meaning trade him and getting draft capital to move up in the draft and go draft another quarterback. And you could hear Max try to sound all smart by saying, I didn't say trade him, I didn't say get rid of him. And then you'll see later on, after Dan Orlovsky speaks and Max speaks, he says, well, I'd appreciate that you guys don't put words in my mouth, but I'm not saying trade him, which even sounds dumber than his original take that we all assumed that he had. So Stephen A. pretty much breaks this down and says, why would it doesn't make any sense for you to move on from Daniel Jones when you're going to be drafting a quarterback, getting rid of one quarterback, trading up to draft another. And most of these quarterbacks have some question marks on them, right? Trey Lance played one game, I believe, last season. It was like a showcase game, and he's coming from a school with smaller competition. Zach Wilson, the same thing, but we already know Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson going number 1 and number 2. Justin Fields has questions. Mac Jones has questions. Trey Lance has questions. These quarterbacks have question marks to them. They're not surefire guys yet. They still have a lot of things that need to be sorted out, and a lot of concern from NFL experts and analysts, and anybody can really notice that this quarterback class is great, could be great, but still the jury's still out on them. So why would you just want to get rid of Daniel Jones and bring in another quarterback? And then Dan Orlovsky, Stephen A. Smith hit it right on the nail, but Dan Orlovsky completely puts Max Kellerman in his place. Let's watch that.
Yeah. Max is everything that's wrong with quarterback perspective in the NFL right now. Max, you trying to tell me that the Giants moving off and going up to go get a quarterback off of Daniel Jones is like people telling me Fessie's a good teammate on the challenge because he beat Kyle in Hall Brawl. No, he's not. Kyle was a layup. He's still a bad teammate. Daniel Jones in 2 years has 35 touchdowns, 22 picks, and 63% completion percentage. And I would make the claim that his situation hasn't been all that different than Sam Darnold's. His support hasn't been all that different than Sam Darnold's, who was historically bad. Yeah. Coaching change.
Thank you. Even Max Kellerman cannot deny that. We're always talking about, including Max Kellerman on First Take, always talking about how Sam Darnold never got the chance, never had the weapons, and everybody feels bad for Sam Darnold, but nobody feels bad for Daniel Jones, right? Thank you, Dan. Let's keep going.
God-awful offensive line, an average run game, substandard wide receivers on the outside, at least performance-wide, a disappointing tight end. So what Daniel Jones has done what to go sit there and go, we got to move off of him? He's got 35 touchdowns and 22 picks. And this is what happens when you take a player at 6 and you expect him to become something that he's not. And that's what I said on draft night with Daniel Jones. He is not a player that is going to wow you, that he's going to be an unbelievable quarterback. But you took him at 6 in New York, and so now Giants fans, like Max Kellerman, expect him to be unbelievable. And he's not talented enough to be unbelievable. No. And so often, we want to move off young quarterbacks. Imagine if the Buffalo Bills decided before last year to move off of Josh Allen. Because you know what? He hadn't become what they hoped to become. No, they didn't use that as an excuse. They said, we have to get better. Let's go to our offensive line improve. Great. Let's go get a number 1 receiver, Stephon Diggs. Great. Let's improve our defense. Now the quarterback has a chance to show us what he is.
Wow. Dan Orlovsky just completely wowed me when I first heard this. Completely wowed me. How many times have me and other Giants fans compared this situation to Josh Allen? Josh Allen was borderline average quarterback getting ready to be on his way out of Buffalo. And in his 3rd year, Buffalo said, screw that. We're not going to start all over again. We got this guy. We traded up for this dude. We're going to go ahead and build around him, go crazy on offensive line. They went crazy on offensive line. Not all of them really worked out, but they went crazy on offensive line, and it worked out for the most part. They're decent. They had to get rid of Quentin Spain, but you know they added Stephon Diggs. They got Gabriel Davis was a sleeper. He wanted up to be a gem. I mean they got a lot of guys around them. They added Cole Beasley, John Brown. I mean these guys were there before, but when you add in Stephon Diggs, it just makes all the more sense. And they of course need to work on the run game, but look at the transformation. Pretty much the change in offensive line and Stephon Diggs did for Josh Allen. The proof is there in Buffalo. If you surround a potentially good quarterback, remember Josh Allen was just as much of a project quarterback as Daniel Jones was coming out in the draft. Both of them were projects. Doesn't matter who was the better prospect. At the end of the day, both of them were drafted high on projection, not drafted high on production. So you look at those two quarterbacks, they're not any different. This is what happens when you surround them with better talent. They start to develop at a faster rate. And what Dan Orlovsky was saying here is not that Daniel Jones is never going to be unbelievably talented. He kind of misspoke there. I know what he was saying there. He was saying he's not unbelievably talented yet and was not unbelievably talented at the time he was drafted. And so that's what Darren Orlovsky is trying to make sense of. If you go ahead and build around your project quarterback like what was done in Buffalo, your quarterback can be unbelievably talented and develop into that franchise quarterback like Josh Allen did. So let's skip ahead and let's just see what Max had to say about this.
The second-year development is, why would you expect him to develop last year? No offseason, new head coach, average offensive scheme, below average support. What quarterback was going to develop last year in New York? Which one?
Well, I would appreciate if the both of you didn't put words in my mouth. Number one, I didn't say trade Daniel Jones. And number two, Dan, I didn't even say necessarily move off him. But you're right. Drafted Daniel Jones is not going to wow you. He's not going to be a great quarterback. Well, damn it, I want a great quarterback. I'd like a guy at least with a chance to be great. So what I am saying, which I said very clearly, but I'll say it again for you two, because apparently you didn't hear it the first time, is what a project like Trey Lance allows you to do. And I'm not saying move up 20 slots. I'm saying if he's there at 9 or 10, you're at 11, you jump up and grab him. Doesn't take that much draft capital, like to move up to 2 or something like that. What you do at that point is you see. Now there are no excuses for Daniel Jones. You'll take an offensive lineman in the second round. You'll try and find a pass rusher because that's on the outside because actually your defense is pretty good. Now you'll see if
there
you
you
have
go.
something
See?
in Daniel Jones in the next.
Stephen A. Smith is about to unload. Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky are about to unload on Max Kellerman. Pause. But do you see what Max Kellerman is trying to say here? Before I let them go off, you see what Max Kellerman is trying to say here? He's saying that, oh, it shouldn't cost that much draft capital to move up from 11 and go up a couple of slots higher and draft a quarterback. And then he will go on to say, I'll let it play in just a bit. He will go on to say that we are going to keep Daniel Jones and he's going to be a great backup. So basically, you drafted a quarterback 6th overall to be a backup quarterback and not get any trade capital for him whatsoever, not get any trade value for him whatsoever, no picks involved. So basically, they're going to be moving up in the draft without using Daniel Jones as a trade item. What? And then this is what Stephen A. is about to say. See, this is why people are so confused. You're confusing yourself. This is why nobody understands you. And Matt, look at the screenshot right now. Look at the screenshot. Come on. These guys are they're confused. They can't believe what's happening right now. And they can't believe that this is on live TV. Guys, this is what's on ESPN right now. These type of takes are what's on ESPN right now. Let that sink in. And this is why everybody is coming on YouTube and doing it themselves, like I am. Doing it themselves and doing their own takes because, my goodness, although this drives clicks, it is just utterly stupid. I don't know if it's worth driving clicks to look this stupid. I don't know if Max Kellerman intended this just, in the meeting room just to be controversial and really, drive the clicks up. This video just has 75,000 views. I mean, it's ESPN for crying out loud. A big network like this with a controversial take like this would have 500,000 views by now. 75,000 views to act this stupid is not worth it at all. You're not making the company any money at all. Maybe a couple $100 tops. But man, let's keep going.
Couple of years. Great. Now you have an excellent prospect as a backup. He has not only backup value, but trade value. Number one. Number two.
And then you wonder why we're confused.
Doesn't turn out
and then
to
you
be
wonder
a
why
great
we're confused.
quarterback.
We barely understand what the hell you're saying right now.
Trey Lance
you're the one confusing everybody. Don't trade. Well, I never said don't trade him.
Perfectly clear. I said the same thing twice.
Who moves up in the draft to the number 2 to draft the quarterback, but keeps the one they have when they just draft them top 10 2 years ago? Who does that?
I do.
Who does that?
I do.
And when you talk about, excuse me, really?
I didn't like the pick of Daniel Jones in the first place. He has
you say you liked him?
Still,
Hold
but
it.
what I don't
Didn't you say you liked him once he got here and you
like
saw him compared to Dwayne
I don't
Haskins?
love him. I like a quarterback I love.
So now you like him, but you don't love him now. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So
my bad. You're not in love with him. My bad. I'm sorry.
Him to be the
I
New
get
York
it now.
quarterback.
That makes perfect sense.
I like him.
You want him to be the New York quarterbacks. You don't want it to be the New York Giants. God forbid we build a football team. Let's just keep taking quarterbacks till we get a great one. Because there's like 6 of those guys on the planet. And so if we move up to 9, we'll find one. And so in 2 years, we'll use the 9th pick, or 3 years, we'll use the 9th pick and the 6th pick on quarterbacks. And if one of them doesn't work out, he'll just be a really good backup. Don't worry that we can't block anybody on the offensive line, or the fact that we have the 2nd pick in the draft at running back and he doesn't have anywhere to run. Don't worry about that, and don't worry about winning football games. Let's just see if we can take a bunch of quarterbacks. No, that's not how you build an organization.
This is the problem, and this can be said about pretty much a lot of franchises, right? A lot of people really are focused on a quarterback, although quarterback is probably the most important and the most difficult position in sports history, right? This position is extremely hard and difficult and very valued, but at times it can be overvalued and overcomplicated. The quarterback is not the be-all, end-all. There are plenty of great quarterbacks. You look at Drew Brees, besides the past couple of years, Drew Brees and the Saints haven't been all that great. You look at, I don't know, Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions. I mean, that's the biggest story. Matt Ryan with the Atlanta Falcons. The list can go on and on of how many good quarterbacks have came and went with NFL teams that never did anything in the NFL and will be irrelevant in the NFL because of the team that they were surrounded by, okay? People are so focused and infatuated with the quarterback position and drafting the next big quarterback that they're not worried about the team around them. They're not worried about the offensive line. They're not worried about the weapons surrounding the quarterback, the weapons that the quarterback is throwing to. They're not worried about anything else for that matter. The running game, right? And Detroit, Matt Stafford never had a running game, right? So they're too focused on the quarterback that they don't really care about. They think the quarterback is going to fix every single issue. And that's exactly what Max Kellerman is trying to convey here. And that's exactly what Dan Orlovsky unveiled for us. That's exactly Max Kellerman's mindset. Forget about that, Daniel Jones has no time to throw at all, and pretty much nobody would have any time to throw at all. Forget about, like Dan Orlovsky said, you have the second overall pick in the draft in 2018 in Saquon Barkley, and he touches the ball and is instantly walloped by 5 other players. All right, forget about that fact. Let's just keep drafting quarterbacks. Dan Orlovsky really hit it on the nail. In this draft, I can't even believe quarterback was a topic. I cannot even believe that. But in this draft, the Giants need to focus on protecting Daniel Jones. Okay, if you want to build around Daniel Jones, stop trying to draft all these sexy weapons. Stop trying to get all the receivers you can possibly get. That's not going to matter if Daniel Jones is running for his life and he only has less than 2 seconds to throw all the time. You're not going to get routes developing. You're not going to have these receivers, developing in their routes, and you're not going to give them time to go ahead and make their route combinations to get the ball. You're just not going to have that time. Saquon Barkley's going to have another disappointing, debut like he did last year before he got hurt. Taking the ball, and as soon as he gets the ball, instantly sacked. Instantly just thrown back behind the line of scrimmage 5 yards as soon as he touches the ball. This is why, and this is for all organizations, but Max Kellerman for the Giants especially, because I don't think anybody's saying quarterback right now, but Max Kellerman, I can't even, I'm at a loss for words right now, But to put it simply, man, this was a fun video to do, a fun little reaction. It amazes me how Matt Kellerman really calls himself a Giants fan. It's only a matter of time before he bandwagons another team like he did jump off the Knicks team and then go on to the Lakers. That's exactly what he did there. So it's only a matter of time before he does the same thing with the Giants, and I don't want to see him come back on the Giants train when Daniel Jones is leading this team to the playoffs. So that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Make sure you guys send me some videos you guys want me to react to. Go ahead and hit me up on Twitter at KidBlueRB27, exactly like my YouTube. It is in the description below if you guys are interested. Make sure you guys hit that red join button, the red subscribe button, and the blue join button to get bonus content on the channel. And that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.